So this is continuing what we were reading last time, this vision that Savitri has on the higher levels of this realm of everlasting day. She encounters a form of the divine, a form which carries within itself the four major aspects of the divine. The divine as creator of the material world, as dreamer of the subtle worlds, as the sleeping wisdom from which all creation has emanated, and as the fourth state, the ineffable, the unknowable, about which very little can be said. So I'm reading on from line 395. All powers were woven in countless concords here. The bliss that made the world in his body lived. Love and delight were the head of the sweet form. In the alluring meshes of their snare recaptured, the proud, blissful members held all joys, outrunners of the panting heart and fugitive from life's outstripped desire. Whatever vision has escaped the eye, whatever happiness comes in dream and trance, the nectar spilled by love with trembling hands, the joy the cup of nature cannot hold, had crowded to the beauty of his face, were waiting in the honey of his laugh. Things hidden by the silence of the hours, the ideas that find no voice on living lips, the soul's pregnant meeting with infinity had come to birth in him and taken fire. The secret whisper of the flower and star revealed its meaning in his fathomless look. His lips curved, eloquent, like a rose of dawn. His smile that played with the wonder of the mind and stayed in the heart when it had left his mouth, glimmered with the radiance of the morning star, gemming the wide discovery of heaven. His gaze was the regard of eternity. The spirit of its sweet and calm intent was a wise home of gladness, and divulged the light of the ages in the mirth of the hours. A sun of wisdom in a miracled grove. In the orchestral largeness of his mind, all contrary seekings their close kinship knew. Rich-hearted, wonderful to each other, met in the mutual marveling of their myriad notes, and dwelt like brothers of one family who had found their common and mysterious home. As from the harp of some ecstatic god, there springs a harmony of lyric bliss, striving to leave no heavenly joy unsung. Such was the life in that embodied light. He seemed the wideness of a boundless sky. He seemed the passion of a sorrowless earth. He seemed the burning of a worldwide sun. Two looked upon each other, soul saw soul. Which way are we going today? This way?
This way.
Would you start? Line 395.
All powers were woven in countless concords here. The bliss that made the world in his body keep. Love and delight were the aid of the sweet form.
Thank you. So all powers within creation and beyond creation are somehow woven together in his body, in the body of this divine being. In countless concords. Concords are comings together in agreement, in harmony. He doesn't use the word harmony. But, a chord, it's several notes played together. If it's very harmonious, we can say it is a concord. So there are all these powers which maybe to us seem opposite and contradictory were woven together there in countless concords, so many different relationships that they can't be counted. The bliss that made the world lived in his body. It can be seen there, living. And love and delight were the head of the sweet form. So the head was in a way we consider it the most important part of the body, the leading part, the crowning part. So that his head expresses love and delight. Dhanalakshmi.
In the alluring measures of their snake, recaptured the proud, blissful members held, all joys, outrunners of the panting heart, and fugitive from life's outstripped desire.
So the subject of this sentence is the proud, blissful members. Members are the parts of the body. So the body, the different parts of the body of this Godhead, they are proud and noble and blissful. And they hold in them, again it can be seen that they hold within them all joys that are outrunners that are always running faster than our heart. No matter how fast our heart runs until it pants, they always slip away more quickly. But those wonderful joys are held there in the limbs of his body. All the joys that run away from life, from life's desire. Life is always trying to catch hold of joy and delight. But these joys that he's carrying in the members of his body, in the limbs of his body, are just those joys that the life's desire can never catch hold of, because they run faster. If somebody runs faster than you do, he can outstrip you. He can overtake you, go beyond you. No? Yes. So all these things, these joys that the heart hasn't been able to catch hold of, that the life hasn't been able to catch hold of, they get recaptured, or they have been recaptured, caught again, no? In the alluring meshes of their snare, as if the limbs of his body are like snares to catch hold of not little animals, but joys, forms of delight. And they've all those forms of delight have spread out from him and been caught back and kept within the limbs of his body. Meshes, it suggests a net, and this net is very attractive, it's alluring. Rosa.
Whatever vision has escaped the eye, whatever happiness comes in dream and trance, the nectar spilled by love with trembling hands, the joy the cup of nature cannot hold, had crowned to the beauty of his face, were waiting in the honey of his love.
In his laugh, his laugh is very sweet.
His love.
It's as sweet as honey. There's a story in Tamil literature about a prince who had such a beautiful laugh, such a sweet laugh, that people said it was like the scent of the evening jasmine. His laughter was as sweet as that. And here Aurobindo speaks of honey. So this is continuing a similar idea. A list of things that have escaped us, that we have not been able to catch. Whatever vision has escaped the eye, whatever happiness we get a glimpse of in dream and trance. The nectar, the sweet drink that gives immortality, the nectar that we can experience through love, no? But he says love's hands tremble and they spill some of that nectar. So that is something that has been caught along with the joy that the cup of nature cannot hold. It's not able to hold that joy. All these things have crowded together in the beauty of his face. All these wonderful forms of transcendent delight. Martin.
Things hidden by the silence of the hour, the ideas that find no voice on giving it, the soul's pregnant meeting with infinity, had come to birth in youth and taken fire. The secret whisper of the flower and star revealed its meaning in his fathomless look.
Yes. So again, these are things that are beyond our experience. Ideas that can't be expressed or have never been expressed by human lips and living lips. Things hidden by the silence of the hours, as if time is full of secrets that we don't know about. No?
Maybe meditation, what even meditation cannot find out, silence of hours.
The silence of the hours, yes.
Meditation.
Even when we, in our silent hours, we can't contact these things, yes. The soul's pregnant meeting with infinity. This contact of the individual soul with the infinite, with infinity, he says, is pregnant. It gives birth to something. It is a creative meeting. No? All these things have come to birth in him, in this Godhead, and taken fire. They've caught fire. They're full of energy and dynamism and light. Yes. And then very secret, silent things. The secret whisper of the flower and star. We don't hear the flowers whispering, but if we have the subtle hearing, we might get some hint of it, no? But what gets revealed in his look, in his fathomless look, is their meaning. What are the flowers and the stars saying? What is the message that they are conveying by their existence? That gets revealed in his fathomless look, the way he looks out of his eyes at the universe is fathomless. It's so deep, it can't be measured. But it's revealing some meaning, some message, that same message which is carried by the star and the flower. Though they are whispering to us the same message through their beauty. Narendra.
His lips curved, eloquent, like a rose of dawn. His smile that played with the wonder of the mind and stayed in the heart when it had left his mouth, glimmered with the radiance of the morning star, gemming the wide discovery of heaven.
Yes. So his mouth is so beautiful, eloquent, and a mouth that is eloquent speaks beautifully, but perhaps a mouth that is eloquent in itself without any words, there's also some meaning expressed in that mouth. Curved, he's smiling, no? And Aurobindo says that smile, the beauty of that smile is like a rose of dawn. The combination of the beauty of a rose and the beauty of the sunrise, no? Or the time before sunrise, the magical light before sunrise. He smiles, and when he smiles, it's as if it is teasing the mind, the wonder of the mind. Well, you can't imagine how any smile can be so beautiful and so meaningful. No? And the memory of that smile stays in the heart when he has stopped smiling. No? And that smile glimmers. It gives a faint light, like the radiance of the morning star the first star that comes in the morning, before the dawn, before the sun. Something so fresh and full of promise. So that smile is like the radiance of the morning star gemming the wide discovery of heaven. When the light begins to come and we can begin to see the sky that was hidden in darkness, and then there's this beautiful little star like a diamond shining, glimmering, gemming the wide discovery of heaven. Discovery. It could also mean the heaven being uncovered. There's a Vedic image for the dawn, that it's like a dark cloak slipping off the body of a god. Chitra.
His gaze was the regard of eternity. The spirit of its sweet and calm intent was a voice, home of gladness and illusion.
Divulged. Divulged. It means revealed. Divulged.
Divulged. The light of the ages in the milk of the course. The sun of wisdom in a miracle love.
Yes. So he spoke before of the fathomless look of the eyes of this God. Here he says his gaze was the regard of eternity. Here in Savitri we find in many places that Sri Aurobindo uses this word not in its English sense. When we offer somebody our regards, it means our respect, no? But the original or the French sense of this word is a look, a gaze. No? So his gaze was the regard of eternity. It's as if eternity is looking out of his eyes. He sees everything with the vision of eternity. And some intent, some intention is expressed in that regard. The spirit of its sweet and calm intent was a wise home of gladness. So there's a spirit there which houses in it gladness. It's sweet, calm, steady, wise also. Its wisdom is there. And divulged, revealed, the light of the ages. All the greatest lights, no, that have expressed themselves through time, something lasting and valuable, illuminating us. And here what is revealed is this combination of timelessness, or a very, very long time, all the ages, and the hours, in the mirth of the hours. Mirth is merriment, laughter, in the mirth of the hours. So there's all that wisdom and light of the ages, and at the same time there's a delight in the moment, in the passing, in the transience. And all together, that spirit of that look is a sun of wisdom, a bright, shining, powerful light of wisdom in a miracled grove. A grove is a space in a forest. A miracled grove. It's magical. Of course, one thinks of Lord Krishna, no, dancing in the grove, in the in the moonlight. So perhaps these are opposite ideas, the sun of wisdom and the miracled grove lit up by moonlight, magical light. Anandi.
The orchestral artist of his mind, all contrary seekings when close tension knew, each hearted wonderful to each other met, in a neutral manner and not a way of moods. And well, our brothers in one family, and are founded common in the state.
Yes. So his mind is able to reconcile things that to us would seem opposite and contrary. All contrary seekings. We may all seem to be looking for different things, but in the largeness of his mind, the orchestral largeness, an orchestra is made up of many, many different instruments and musicians, but they have to play together. They can even play very, very different things, but all together it makes a wonderful and moving harmony. So his mind is like that, in the orchestral largeness of his mind. All contrary seekings can find and recognize their close kinship, that they are members of one intimate family. They are part of this oneness. Kinship, your kin are your relatives, your brothers and your sisters and your uncles and your aunts and your cousins and second cousins. They are all your kin. So all contrary seekings, their close kinship knew. And they met together, marveling, wonderful to each other. They met, rich-hearted. A great deal of warmth and richness in their hearts. In the mutual marveling of their myriad notes. Myriad is so many that it can't be counted. No? So they're all playing different notes in their orchestra, in their contrary seekings. No? But they come together in his mind and marvel. They are amazed by the beauty of each other. No? They all admire and appreciate each other, and live together like brothers of one family who've come together. They've been separated, but they've come together and found their common and mysterious home, their origin, where they have come from, the place where they are all united.
Like many religions, they are seeking for going to God.
Yes. So this is in his mind. There's no separation. All these things come together. Their differences and their contrarinesses are recognized, but it all is makes a complete harmony. Kamala.
As from the heart of some ecstatic God, there springs the harmony of the rich bliss, striving to leave no heavenly joy unsung. Such were the life in that embodied light.
Would you like to read to the end?
He seemed the oneness of a boundless sky. He seemed the passion of a soulless earth. He seemed the burning of a worldwide sun. To look upon earth, others, to each other, soul saw soul.
Yes, thank you. So we've often come across this harp, this musical instrument, that the poets used to carry with them to accompany themselves as they chanted their poetry. So it's also associated with singing and with celebrating. So he says, it's as if there's some ecstatic God. He's full of ecstasy, and he has a harp on which he's expressing his ecstasy. He's expressing it in a harmony of lyric bliss. Lyric is a song, and particularly a love song. So in his song, he's striving, he's attempting to leave no heavenly joy unsung. He wants to sing about every possible kind of heavenly joy. So Sri Aurobindo says, such, like that, was the life in the body of that God, in that embodied light. The whole body is made of light, and it's as if it's a poet singing with his musical instrument, trying to express every possible kind of heavenly delight. So Savitri sees him. He seems to have the wideness of a sky without limits. He seems to contain all the intense delight of a sorrowless earth, as opposed to the sky, the earth, that's matter, that's solid, durable, but sorrowless. We don't know a sorrowless earth, but that seems what seems to be expressed in him. And he also seems like a sun, like the burning of a worldwide sun, a sun that's burning in every part of the world or the universe. So they simply look at each other. Savitri looks at him, and he looks at her. And what they see are the souls. Soul, soul, soul. Anybody would like to ask anything about this passage?
Well, for me, what this does, yesterday in the Life Divine we read that when you get to the supermind, it's something that cannot be expressed in a way that a human mind can understand, which is why I think he doesn't name it, and he says it seems like this, it seems like that. You can only give an impression of a sort of emotional impression of what it's like without being able to describe it.
And that was the other thing he said. Either we can speak of it in too abstract terms that the mind can't grasp, or we can express it in figures, in images, which may, I forget how he says it, but may turn it into something else. So, of course, Sri Aurobindo's attempting something extremely difficult, possibly impossible here. But this was what he thought that the future poetry should be doing, to be aiming at conveying things which at present are not so easily graspable by the human mind. And in my opinion, he's doing this in the most masterly way through all these suggestions which he's giving. He has to speak of things that are familiar to us in one way, but then he makes them unfamiliar, magical, extraordinary, giving them suggestions far beyond their ordinary ones. So now he's going to speak to Savitri. And I think it's quite a long speech. We won't be able to read it all. It goes to the middle of page 685. But let's look at the first few sentences. Joel.
Then, like an anthem from the heart's loosened cave, a voice soared up whose magic sound could turn the poignant weeping of the earth to sobs of rapture and her cry to spirit song.
An anthem is a sacred song, like a sacred song coming out from the cave, not a dark cave, but a cave that's full of light, lucent, full of light, of the heart, from the soul. A voice soared up, it rises up. It's got such a magical sound that it could turn all the poignant weeping, all the pain and suffering of the earth, can turn that to sobs of rapture, to intense. Yes, sometimes we can't bear the delight, no, and it's too much. And her cry, her appeal, her longing gets to turn it to spirit song. It's got such a power of communicating truth and happiness. So what does he say, Sergei?
O human image of the deathless word, how hast thou seen beyond the darkest walls the gleaming sisters of the divine being, somewhat the genie of their wakeful sleep, and under the nations arches forced, the cart from shrouded doors to sleep apart, unlocked the avenues of spiritual sight, and toward the entrance of the heavenly estate, to thy dark soul, the golden key.
Thank you. I think in a way he's congratulating her. He says, "Oh, human image of the deathless word." Of course, this refers to the significance of her name and her incarnation. Savitri is the creative word, the word of truth, which gives rise to the universe. So he says, here you are, little Savitri. It described her like that, no? In Canto 10, a little figure. Sorry, Book 10. Yes, page 664 at the bottom. When Savitri reveals herself, death challenges her, and it says, the incarnation thrust aside its veil, a little figure in infinity, yet stood and seemed the eternal's very house. So there she is, little human Savitri, this young girl, maybe not even 18, but she's incarnating so much. So, oh, human image, you're a human image of the deathless word of creation. How have you been able to see beyond the topaz walls? Topaz is a gemstone, a golden-colored gemstone. I don't know if there's anybody here who has studied gemology and who knows the significance of this.
the occult level.
It's a protection for the occult part. So then the meaning is clear, no? Yeah. The walls that protect the inner occult worlds, the subtle worlds, are made of topaz. Thank you, Gangalakshmi. So you have been able to see beyond those protective walls of the subtle world. You've been able to see the gleaming sisters of the divine gate. There are two sister powers guarding the entrance into that world. And you have been able to summon, to call up the genii, the magical spirits of their wakeful sleep. I think it means the wakeful sleep of those divine sisters. Mm-hmm. And so they've had to let you in. You have forced your way in under the arches of revelation, one of the highest levels of mind. And you've forced the doors that are carved, but they're also shrouded, they're covered up by thought. Somehow you've been able to penetrate, to make those doors swing apart. And in this way, you have unlocked the avenues. If the doors swing apart, you might be able to see into a vast landscape in which there are wide roads, avenues of spiritual sight, of vision. And you've somehow been able to teach your soul how to enter into a more heavenly state, a higher state of consciousness, because your soul was wrapped as if asleep, in a sleep of delight, and it was carrying that golden key which can open those doors and allow you to enter.
What are the sisters? What are the sisters?
I don't know, Mia.
You don't know? No?
When it says sisters, it means they are female powers, so they are somehow dynamic. If you want me to guess. No, I will say, you know about the riddle of the Sphinx. It's in the old Greek story of Odysseus. And he encountered this monster, mystical monster, who would stop travelers. Actually, it's a symbolic story. If you're traveling to find the truth, you encounter this being who won't allow you to go any further unless you answer her questions. So she asks her question to, what was his name? Oedipus.
Ulysses.
No, I don't think it's Ulysses. I think it's Oedipus, no? Yeah. Anyway, and he's able to pass. He gives the answer. But there are two different versions. What are the questions? The most well-known version of the question is that she asked, what is that creature who walks on 4 feet in the morning and on 2 feet in the noonday and 3 feet in the evening? And the answer is man, who crawls as a baby and walks upright, and then he needs a stick. So man is the answer to everything, or you yourself are the answer to everything. But the other version is also very, very interesting. She asks, who are those sisters, each of whom gives birth to the other? Who are those two sisters, each of whom gives birth to the other? And the answer is night and day. The day gives birth to the night, and the night gives birth to the day, and it goes on and on and on and on. So that is also a very symbolic truth about our lives. That what seems to be darkness is concealing within it a brighter dawn, and we have to pass through the darkness to get to brighter and brighter dawns. And if we can understand that our world is a world of dualities, we can progress through that knowledge. So somebody who can answer the riddles of the Sphinx, they can go further on their journey. If you can't answer, she destroys you. Your chance is finished for that time.
Could be also life and death.
It could be life and death also, yes. Perhaps night and day are life and death, yes.
In this context, no?
Yes. Yes, here it could be, couldn't it? Anyway, this is only a guess on my part. So we have to stop there today.
That's a very interesting thought. And the golden key?
The golden key? Yeah, the golden key is always a symbol to the soul's power to open the inner doors. There's such a beautiful children's book by a writer of the 19th century, George MacDonald. He wrote many beautiful books, but there's one that's called The Golden Key. And the heroine of that story is told that you need never fear to go with one who has the golden key. Those who wish can stay, and we'll read from where we started to the end of the section. Line on page 682.
All powers were woven in countless concords here. The bliss that made the world in his body lived. Love and delight were the head of the sweet form. In the alluring meshes of their snare recaptured, the proud blissful members held all joys, outrunners of the panting heart, and fugitive from life's outstripped desire. Whatever vision has escaped the eye, whatever happiness comes in dream and trance, the nectar spilled by love with trembling hands, the joy the cup of nature cannot hold, had crowded to the beauty of his face, were waiting in the honey of his laugh. Things hidden by the silence of the hours, the ideas that find no voice on living lips, the soul's pregnant meeting with infinity, had come to birth in him and taken fire. The secret whisper of the flower and star revealed its meaning in his fathomless look. His lips curved, eloquent, like a rose of dawn. His smile that played with the wonder of the mind and stayed in the heart when it had left his mouth, glimmered with the radiance of the morning star gemming the wide, discovery of heaven. His gaze was the regard of eternity. The spirit of its sweet and calm intent was a wise home of gladness, and divulged the light of the ages in the mirth of the hours. A sun of wisdom in a miracled grove. In the orchestral largeness of his mind, all contrary seekings their close kinship knew. Rich-hearted, wonderful to each other, met in the mutual marvelling of their myriad notes, and dwelt like brothers of one family who had found their common and mysterious home. As from the harp of some ecstatic god, there springs a harmony of lyric bliss, striving to leave no heavenly joy unsung. Such was the life in that embodied light. He seemed the wideness of a boundless sky. He seemed the passion of a sorrowless earth. He seemed the burning of a world-wide sun. Two looked upon each other, soul saw soul. Then, like an anthem from the heart's lucent cave, a voice soared up whose magic sound could turn the poignant weeping of the earth to sobs of rapture, and her cry to spirit song. O human image of the deathless Word, how hast thou seen beyond the topaz walls the gleaming sisters of the divine gate, summoned the genii of their wakeful sleep, and under revelation's arches forced the carved thought-shrouded doors to swing apart, unlocked the avenues of spiritual sight, and taught the entries of a heavenlier state to thy rapt soul that bore the golden key.